Erotic art has existed in nearly every major civilization, not as shock content, but as expressions of mythology, fertility, beauty, power, intimacy, and sometimes social rebellion. What was considered scandalous in one era is often celebrated as masterpiece in another. Here are some of the most famous erotic paintings and artworks in the history of art, important not just for sensuality, but for their influence on culture and artistic freedom. Venus of Urbino, 1538, one of the earliest, modern, erotic masterpieces of the Renaissance. At first glance, it is a reclining nude woman in a domestic interior. But historically, it was groundbreaking because the subject is not a goddess, it is a real, human woman portrayed with confidence and direct gaze. Art historians often interpret it as a complex symbol of marriage, fertility, and sensuality combined, not just nudity for decoration. Olympia, 1863. This painting shocked Paris when it was first exhibited. Unlike idealized classical nudes, Olympia is a modern woman who looks directly at the viewer with unapologetic awareness. Her gaze breaks tradition, she is not passive, but fully conscious of being observed. At the time, critics called it scandalous because it confronted social hypocrisy about sexuality and class. The Origin of the World, 1866, one of the most controversial paintings in Western art history. Instead of mythological disguise, Courbet presents a raw, intimate study of the human body in a highly realistic way. For decades, it was hidden from public view due to its explicit nature. Today, it is studied as a radical statement about realism, removing fantasy and confronting human biology directly. The Kiss, 1907-1908, a very different approach to eroticism, symbolic rather than explicit. The figures are wrapped in gold patterns, almost merging into a single spiritual form. Instead of physical detail, Klimt focuses on emotional and psychological intimacy. It represents love as something both sensual and transcendent. Sleeping Hermaphroditus, Roman copies of Greek original. This ancient sculpture explores fluid identity and beauty. The reclining figure initially appears female, but reveals a dual gender form when viewed fully. In classical art, this was not seen as scandalous but as part of mythological storytelling and exploration of divine human forms. Japanese erotic art, Shunga tradition. In Japan's Edo period, erotic art known as shunga was widely produced by master artists such as The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife. These works were not hidden in their time, they were often printed in illustrated books and shared among different social classes. They reflected humor, fantasy, intimacy, and even protective beliefs. Some people kept them as good luck charms. Why erotic art matters in history. Erotic paintings were never just about nudity. Across history, they have been used to express fertility and life cycles, ancient art, mythology and divine beauty, Renaissance, social critique and realism, 19th century Europe, emotional intimacy and symbolism, modernism, cultural openness and fantasy, Japanese Edo art. What makes them historically important is not just what they show, but how they challenge the boundaries of their time.